Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Calista Solon, and you're watching NLC Trans. Tonight I'm here with my dear friends and co-hosts, Tara Alexander and Stacy Dozier. Renee is not here tonight. I'm not sure where Renee is. Renee, give us a call if you're out there somewhere. I hadn't really heard much. Hope she's okay. Anyway, so here we are. It's early May.
Just after Mother's Day.
Yeah, we had Mother's Day recently. An awful lot of stuff going on, but the pollen's getting better, I believe. Anyway, we've got some upcoming events, obviously we want to talk about, and probably some news articles we want to talk about a little bit.
Okay, that's the segue, isn't it?
Did we? Yeah, I know you wanted to talk. Do we have something with the Alliance for Living coming up, right?
Yeah, that was something new that we saw today. On May 14th,
which is this Saturday.
Rain or shine, gates open at 9 a.m. for a plant sale and perennial garden guided tour, on plein air exhibition, auction, and champagne reception at the Kentford Farm, 297 New London Turnpike, Route 184 in Stonington, Connecticut. This is a fundraiser for the Alliance for Living. Paintings donated by acclaimed artists, and there's a big long list of names here. But you can go to the Alliance for Living website to get more information as well. They say the Kentford Farm is recognized by Connecticut Magazine as one of Connecticut's premier perennial gardens. Paul Cotu and Bill Turner cordially invite you to share the beauty of the expansive gardens for the benefit of Alliance for Living. So gates open at 9 a.m. on Saturday at the Kentford Farm in Stonington. They have suggested donations for tours. Obviously the auction and champagne reception and stuff.
But they're having plant sales, is that right?
Excuse me. Yes, plant sale. And
I want to go. See what they have. I know.
As long as you don't mind dragging your grandson.
Yeah. Well, that's fairly. Where is Kentford Farms?
Stonington.
See, that's not far away.
184 Gold Star.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I know where it is. That's right. I think I went in there once. Cool.
I'm guessing it's that dirt road after 27 on the left there that I always wondered what was down.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's close enough so we can maybe get my grandson to go, which is cool because my grandson Andrew will be with us this weekend.
Guided tours at 10 and noon. Champagne reception at 1. So if the weather holds out, they'll be there rain or shine.
Yeah, I think the weather's going to be good this weekend.
Well, that's good because Sunday the 15th is the True Colors 5K walk run.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I don't have the printout for, if either one.
Yeah.
I can't get that connection.
But you can go to ourtruecolors.com for more.
.org, I think.
.org, excuse me. For more.
That one I don't think I have, but yeah, unfortunately, that's too far away to make. And Sunday is the day that my daughter comes to pick my grandson up. So
Where is that going to be again?
We won't be able to make it.
Yeah.
I think it's Manchester, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, that is a bit of a drive, isn't it?
I believe it's Manchester, and of course that's there's just no way I can make that work with Andrew. But it's certainly, go to ourtruecolors.org and check that out. That's certainly a worthy cause. We love True Colors.
Perennials, vegetables, and selected annuals.
But now that's Saturday, so I can get Andrew to go do that, I think.
Yes, you can get Andrew to walk around and look at flowers, I'm sure.
Well, we'll tell him it's all pepper plants, and he'll be fine. Also, I believe, don't we have the Transgender Day of Awareness? Isn't that Saturday as well?
Oh, shoot. I don't have that one written down. I think you're right. I think that's the 14th as well, the Transgender Day of Awareness in Stamford.
Stamford, which is also too far afield for us for the moment. But that is going on, and I think...
Gosh, getting into the busy season.
Yeah.
People can be outside now.
But that's Stamford is a long way. Unfortunately,
Stamford's further than Manchester.
If you happen to be on that side of the state, it's fine. But for us, that's
you're already starting.
And then weekend traffic.
It's at least a 2-hour drive for us to down there.
Yeah, but you're going the opposite direction from the people headed to the beaches.
No, that's true.
Yeah. Anyway,
So this is...
so what else we got going on? Anything? It's my daughter's birthday.
Also on Saturday.
That's on Saturday.
On the 28th, May 28th, we'd mentioned this one once before. At the Spirit of Broadway will be hosting a performance of the play Snow,
Yeah.
which is a modern adaptation of the Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen. And this will be a PFLAG benefit. If you go on Saturday, May 28th to Snow at the Spirit of Broadway, you'll be supporting PFLAG of Southeastern Connecticut.
Yeah.
Or 26th. Maybe it's the 26th and I have the wrong date. That would be bad. Go to the PFLAG website. It's probably the 26th and I've got it wrong. Thursday the 26th, 7:30, PFLAG, Snow.
Yeah, I was going to print that one, but I couldn't make it print right, so unfortunately I've been having problems with that. But I could print like half of it. It just wouldn't work right.
And then moving into June 4th in Norwich, Saturday, June 4th, is the Norwich River Fest and Dragon Boat races.
Dragon boat.
And they'll have food supplied by Old Times and Harp and Dragon and Edible Arrangements.
Cool. Okay.
So that'll start sort of the summer fest
Yeah.
cycle.
Oh yeah. There's always a bunch of stuff going on in the summer.
July is pretty booked already.
Yeah.
They're setting up a carnival just down the street,
Are they really? Probably for this weekend?
over by NFA, yep.
Oh, cool. Oh yeah, right. I've seen that.
All right. Well, then there's something going on at NFA this Friday, Saturday as well.
Yeah. Anyway. So we're pretty much open tonight for. We don't have a guest tonight. We do have the folks from Consax coming on in a couple of weeks. But,
Yep.
But
Connecticut Sexual Assault Crisis Services.
yeah, I have to get out there and start rounding up some guests. I'm afraid. But anyway.
One of our former guests, Sean Lang, was in the news today. They were doing an AIDS awareness at the state capitol, trying to maintain funding for AIDS education and AIDS services here in Connecticut.
Yeah, which is certainly a worthy cause. AIDS is one of those things, and we certainly have the Alliance for Living right here.
Right here in our own backyard.
And a wonderful organization, and that does
whose fundraiser is Saturday.
Yeah, but we've sort of talked about this before. The AIDS has sort of disappeared off the radar here. It's everybody sort of forgot about it, and it's like it hasn't gone away.
No.
And I think there is sort of, and I think in some segments it's certainly even on the rise.
Yeah. Actually, they were saying last time we talked to Sandy, especially in heterosexuals over 50.
Yeah.
There's a sense that, I'm so old, I'm not going to catch anything. If I do catch anything, it won't matter. And they're wrong.
They're wrong. Yeah.
Right.
They're wrong. So they've seen their 50-plus patient population increase dramatically.
Yeah, it's kind of scary, and I think there's also this sense that, not that it's curable, but that there's this sense that it's sort of, well, okay, it's not a death sentence anymore. You can sort of maintain it. You can control.
There are maintenance drugs.
There are treatments, but my
They're not
understanding
good.
is they're not pleasant.
No, not pleasant, and they're not good for you.
No, it's a matter of putting enough toxic chemicals into your body that it retards the growth of the virus.
Sort of like chemo. It's
So
like
I'm understanding. I think that this sort of threatens your clarity of thought. It sort of it threatens your quality of life. Certainly.
Yes.
I mean, it's not.
It's one of those cases that
It keeps people alive, and that's a big benefit.
it may keep them alive, but it's killing them slowly
Right.
instead of killing them quickly.
I mean, don't underestimate the value I place on keeping people alive and prolonging their life.
But
It's not
quality of
pleasant.
life
The
is
quality
important.
of life is important, and it is seriously diminished. It's not a disease people want
No.
to
Yeah.
play games
Regardless
with.
of what some young folks may believe, that it's a foregone conclusion. Some of the some of the folks in the younger set in the gay community, apparently, according to one report that we had,
Yeah, that was scary.
are fairly cavalier about it. That they figure at some point in their life they'll probably get AIDS anyways, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
And it's like that. Yeah, but
Bad attitude.
you really don't.
That's not something you want to sign up for, no.
Yeah, very bad attitude. So it's kind of a scary thing, and so we sort of need to keep our finger on that one and keep...
Need to keep reminding people that it's out there, that it's virulent, and that it's very easy to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Wear a condom.
Yeah.
Get tested.
And you can give them away. We give condoms out. Everybody gives
Yes.
condoms out. You can get condoms everywhere, and nobody wants them.
Yeah.
It's like, please take them. But anyway, I'm not going to...
Start offering, like, free hugs with a condom.
Yeah.
Free cheesecake with a condom.
Well, that we did, and that worked.
There we go. When you make the little cheesecake cups, we put the condom in the bottom of it.
Oh, yeah.
You can have one of these, but you have to take 5 of
That's
these.
that's the chewing gum at the bottom.
Chewing. Coneheads reference.
Coneheads, yes. Anyway, so yeah. So anyway, bunch of stuff going to be going on this summer, and it's going to be crazy. And I'm going to get to the beach one way or another, but I got so much work to do. Get the garden going and stuff.
Got the soil turned
plants,
over.
Yeah, plants coming out of my ears. But we'll have to go look at those plants. Anyway, I'm not
Because
gonna...
we need more.
Well, there's a few things that I need, well, sort of.
You still have a lawn. Of course you need more
Yeah.
plants.
That's only because she hasn't put the pumpkins in yet.
Yeah. Anyway.
But we were talking about that today. We need to make sure we balance the grass, because the grass is the mulch for the garden.
Yeah.
If
We
you
need some grass.
If you cover up too much of the lawn, then I can't get enough grass off the lawn to mulch the entire garden. So there is a balance to be maintained like anywhere else.
Or we'll be borrowing grass clippings from our neighbors.
Yes, she started suggesting that we should start mowing our neighbors' lawns to get grass clippings.
Yeah.
Leaves, mulch leaves.
Anyway. Anyway.
So we may be starting a lawn mowing service.
Yeah. I was only kidding about that.
You're kidding as long as we don't need the grass.
Yeah. Anyway. So anyway, summer's coming.
Yes.
And prom season is coming. We were talking about this on the way, and
the news story this
You were telling me
morning.
about this, because I only caught part of this on the news, and it's like, okay, some kid, I'm not even sure where he's from, but they're saying he can't go to his prom because of something, and I had no idea what it was.
Someone
he
who
did.
knows the story really well can call in and explain it, but the 50-cent tour is that there was a kid who, apparently nowadays it's a really big deal. You have to ask the girl out in a really impressive way. So he decided to basically tape pieces of paper up on the wall of on the outside wall of the school to spell out letters, to spell out basically, will you go to the prom with me?
Yeah.
And I guess he's gotten a suspension from school for it, and he's been prohibited from going to prom because of it.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate.
That was part of the punishment.
So,
I get punishment, but it's sort of like...
Did the lettering damage the building in any way?
I don't have a lot of details. What they reported, what I heard them report, is that it was paper taped to the brick wall.
That's awful.
Yeah.
So there was some concern of vandalism, and there was a concern of trespassing. That supposedly led to the suspension and the denial of access to prom. Prom is a privilege, not a right.
That's just sort of unfortunate. It seemed kind of romantic to me, and I don't disagree with punishing the kid, but let him go to the prom.
Yeah, that seemed like the... Well, I saw it today. I can't get to the site at work, but Google's happy enough to give me the little synopsis that apparently Fox News Network has picked it up. So now whomever the principal or whomever handed down this punishment in whatever town here in Connecticut it is now getting national attention. And I can just imagine tonight Bill O'Reilly will have his Pinheads and Patriots, and it's going to be in small town Connecticut. Probably not for the Patriot part.
Yeah, anyway, it was kind of an interesting thing. It's like, I thought it was kind of romantic.
It was kind of romantic. Yeah, you understand the whole sort of
Shouldn't have done
crossing
it.
the line,
Shouldn't have done
and
it,
so
but-
there's some punishment that certainly probably deserved. But
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he really wants to go to prom, and he
Yeah.
really wants to go with this girl.
Yeah. So, anyway, it's sort of unfortunate that they won't let them go to the prom. And hopefully they'll change their mind on that.
Al, and if you're at home sitting on your computer or whatever, apparently there is a Facebook petition to let him go to prom. If you dig it up, you can probably sign it.
Yeah. Not that necessarily a hope, but if there's enough people, I suppose.
Public pressure can have, actually, I have a good story for that. Public pressure can have a lot of effect on policy.
Worldwide.
This one is in an April 13th memo on Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which, on Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal training. Rear Admiral Mark L. Tidd, Chief of Navy Chaplains, clarified that base facilities are sexual orientation neutral and that chaplains may perform marriages for gay couples if it is conducted in accordance with the laws of a state which permits same-sex marriage. Chaplains could elect to officiate should a ceremony be consistent with the tenets of his or her religious organization. So the Chief of the Navy Chaplains basically said, if you don't have a problem with it and you're in a state that doesn't have a problem with it, you can officiate a wedding between, same-sex couples.
I'm sorry.
Seemed like a reasonable course, considering this was part of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal,
Right.
and considering that the executive branch has deemed DOMA indefensible. Well, Tidd did an about-face. Reversed course late Tuesday, writing that his guidance is suspended pending additional legal and policy review and interdepartmental coordination. Tidd's about-face comes after outcry in recent days from a group of Republican lawmakers who want to bar same-sex weddings at base facilities, as well as religious conservative groups that have long rallied against any change in the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council, this is from the Advocate website, by the way, but it's available in a lot of places I found, wrote in a Tuesday blog that Tidd's guidance was an affront to the Defense of Marriage Act, which prohibits federal recognition of gay marriages, which is still the law of the land. The executive branch has deemed it indefensible in court and has chosen not to defend it, but it has not yet been repealed. Perkins goes on to say, now that the ban on homosexuals in the military is overturned, the White House is trying to enlist the troops in its war on DOMA. And if the administration won't uphold the law, then it shouldn't surprise anyone that the president would order the military to ignore it. Representative Todd Aiken, a member of the House Armed Services Committee, is expected to offer an amendment Wednesday to the National Defense Authorization Act that would bar marriage ceremonies for gay couples at base facilities, whether or not they're located in states such as Connecticut that have full marriage equality. Alexander Nicholson, executive director of Service Members United, issued the following statement Wednesday. At a time when the economy needs attention, Osama bin Laden was just killed, and revolution and conflict continue to rage across our fragile Middle East, having lawmakers spend valuable and limited time on whether a few gay couples may or may not use a Navy facility for a private ceremony at some point in the future is just plain silly. The Navy was certainly within its right to establish this policy, and the services should not be subjected to distracting pressure from reactionaries simply because they seek to treat all personnel equally and fairly. And in an interesting note, the person listed here, Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council, something I learned today, the Family Research Council is actually tracked by the Southern Poverty Law Center as a national hate group.
Yeah, there were a whole bunch of organizations, but that was very
The
interesting.
Family Research Council, the Family Research Institute, along with Westboro Baptist Church, and just to our north, Mass Resistance, are all being tracked by the Southern Poverty Law Center as hate organizations,
Yeah.
along with the neo-Nazi and Ku Klux Klan and all the other different groups that they track in the category of anti-gay. They track the Family Research Council as a hate group. However, the Family Research Council has a very large voice and has successfully gotten the Navy to reverse its course on the decision to let things go forward.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
If you're personally okay with it and the state you're in is okay with it, then we, the Navy, are not going to stop you, the chaplain, from performing the ceremony.
Very interesting. But anyway.
So yeah, Navy reverses course on weddings.
Yeah. Anyway. Stacy, you had sent something out earlier about a study done in Massachusetts that was kind of interesting. Did you have any information?
I hadn't printed that out.
Fortunately, I did.
Ah, okay.
But this was by the Williams
Cost of
Institute.
employment.
Yeah, and this was this was in Massachusetts, and this is pertinent clearly because, in fact, I should point out that HB 6599 is likely to get voted on
Today or tomorrow.
Today or tomorrow.
If it didn't get voted on today, HB 6599 in the House will likely be voted on tomorrow.
Yeah, which is an act concerning discrimination, which would add a gender identity or expression to our existing anti-discrimination legislation.
Yep.
And
so there's still potentially time to go to ctequality.com and go to their Action Center page, and they will help you locate who your House representative is and give you information how to contact them over the phone or over email. There's still time to send an email or make a phone call and urge support in the House to help pass HB 6599. If it passes the House, it'll go to the Senate, and then we'll get to contact all of our senators and ask them for the same.
Right.
Yeah.
So now I remember what you're talking about, and I'm glad you have a copy of that printed out.
Yep.
It really it struck a chord with me because so this is something that Gunnar Scott had sent out. He's in Massachusetts, and he's involved with trans rights up there. And so the article talks about the cost of discriminating against trans people, the sort of cost to the state.
Lost revenue because there's no employment support for trans folk.
yeah, the conclusion they came to was that it was a pretty significant cost.
We're talking about health care, health insurance.
Yeah, there is
for
actually
people who can't find a job.
Yeah.
The added cost to the Commonwealth for public health insurance coverage alone is $3 million annually due to the employment discrimination.
Yeah, the total number is much bigger than that. But it's
And it's something that we had talked about before on this show in the context of HB 6599, and suggesting that it's actually expensive to allow discrimination because people can't find jobs, then they go on state aid, and that's not free. That comes from somewhere, and it comes from taxpayers.
Yeah, so I was going to read some of this.
Sorry, good.
But this was done in Massachusetts, and so this is not Connecticut. This is Massachusetts, but it's very pertinent in that we're in the process of trying to change our legislation as we speak.
And we do have fairly similar economies.
And we have there are certainly a lot of similarities. But this was But this was basically a study done to sort of look at what happens when you discriminate against trans people. And certainly this would be true if you, I think this could be true of discrimination against any group.
Sure.
But,
sure.
But just, you know, this whole idea, why do we need legislation? Why should, you know, why isn't it okay to discriminate? Well, discrimination is bad, and it's bad for everybody.
And on top of being, you know, just sort of morally incorrect, they're pointing out, as one of our callers had previously pointed out, that sometimes in order to make the point, you simply have to put a dollar sign on it.
Yes.
And that's what they did in Massachusetts.
And when it starts costing you money, then maybe you want to do something about it.
And it's millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars, yes. But anyway, this was in Massachusetts, not in Connecticut. Although I think the numbers are actually a little worse from what I remember in Connecticut.
They're estimating about 33,000 Massachusetts residents are estimated to identify as transgender.
Yeah.
If rates of employment discrimination found in the Massachusetts sample hold true for transgender population of Massachusetts as a whole, then there's over 6,600 have lost a job, almost 13,000 were not hired, and 5,500 denied promotions.
Yeah. So it's 20% lost a job, 39% were not hired, and 17% denied promotion. And I've seen numbers for Connecticut that were worse than that.
And if they're not hired and they're not working, then they're not paying taxes. They're not paying into all the systems that they're going to be using resources from.
But yeah, it's a loss of employment due to anti-transgender bias often means lost wages, lost health insurance coverage, and housing instability. Yeah, we know this. This is very, very common in this community.
And loss of health insurance coverage doesn't mean loss of health coverage, because the Commonwealth, in this case, the Commonwealth will end up paying for it, which
Yes.
means the taxpayers end up paying for it instead of the potential employee.
And let's be clear, that cost ends up being higher because when people, and we see this across the board, I think, when people are denied health insurance, they can't pay for it. We're going to end up paying for it, but it's going to be at the point that the health issue has gotten so bad that the person has had to go to the emergency room. So now it's a more expensive issue to sort out, where if they had been able to afford health insurance to begin with, they might have taken that $20 copay and gone to see their GP. Yeah. So it's more expensive in the long run to
not
discriminate.
Cover people.
Right.
It is, and there's also something else that I think it's important to point out. It's going to be more expensive, but it's also potentially more damaging to the person. If you're sick and you get to the point that you actually have to go to the emergency room because you don't have medical insurance, then you know, depending on what the situation is, it could be have a much more deleterious effect on your health in the long run, and potentially even be life-threatening because you didn't have health insurance and you couldn't get there, and so you had to wait till it was so serious.
But there are going to be people out there that don't care if the trans person dies.
Yes, we know that. But,
but even taking that a step further, if you're sick, you know, you think about cold and flu season. You think about MRSA, you think about avian flu, you think about all the strains that we've seen coming out. And you're not going to a doctor to get checked, to get analyzed, to get vaccinated, because you don't have insurance, health insurance. You become a carrier and a spreader of that.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So it's bad. Bad in generally in all respects. I'm going to read the conclusion to this. I'm not going to read this whole thing. And this is Massachusetts, but it certainly holds true for everywhere. And in conclusion, any transgender person who loses a job due to discrimination in Massachusetts may experience reduced income, loss of health insurance, and housing instability. Not only does the Commonwealth suffer lost income tax revenue, and that's true, certainly true here as well. Their health care may be a little bit different, but certainly taxes are taxes. Lost income tax revenue because of discrimination, but each transgender person who loses a job may become eligible for programs that will cost the state hundreds or thousands of dollars. This study estimates that the Commonwealth spends nearly $3 million annually in Medicaid and Commonwealth care expenditures alone for workers who have lost a job due to anti-transgender bias. Employment discrimination against transgender residents likely costs the Commonwealth of Massachusetts millions of dollars annually in public assistance program expenditures, lost income tax revenues, and other costs. And that's just sort of like the tip of the iceberg. I think the actual total number when you start looking at what it actually costs is many orders of magnitude higher. So anti-discrimination legislation is a good thing. Even if you don't like us, it's still a good thing.
On top of which, in Connecticut, we have a fair amount of protection under the CHRO ruling that's already in place, and HB 6599 codifies it, makes it consistent across all the areas of the law.
Yeah.
Interestingly, as part of the, we're jumping all over here, but as part of the governor's budget, the $2 billion that they're looking to get from the public unions, public service sector folks, one of the things they were talking about today was that if they don't get the savings, then what they're going to have to do, obviously they're talking about pink slips, they're talking about the number of people that are going to lose their jobs, but they're also talking about the various different agencies that will be defunded and will simply go away. And one of those is the Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities.
Okay.
Has an opportunity in the next couple weeks, depending on whether or not we see those cost savings, to actually go away in this state.
That's definitely a step in the wrong direction.
There's like 187 people, I think. I don't remember the exact numbers, but the employees that are in the CHRO and the employees that were in, I think it was the Department of Children and Families. Department of Children and Families, I don't think would go away, but they would take a significant hit, and those caseloads go up, and cases, a lot of those cases would have to be referred to the federal level, where the federal organizations, the federal components, are also understaffed and underfunded and overrun with backlogs. But in the case of the CHRO, the word that I heard this morning on the news was that they would actually let everybody that works in that department go. If the department stays around, it's just on paper. There's nobody doing anything.
Wow. Yeah, that part I hadn't heard. That's unfortunate.
As part of the layoffs, it's not just losing some teachers and losing a lot of teachers and losing a lot of public sector workers. It actually, when you lose some of those public sector workers, the entire department stops functioning. It just goes away.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah,
I really don't want to see that happen.
So that's kind of another really important reason to pass HB 6599 this year, because there may not be an organization in the state of Connecticut next year to bring grievances to, due to the budget issues.
Yeah, and that's just wrong, isn't it? Not having this legislation would just be wrong. But so hopefully this is our year. I think we are on track, certainly, to make this happen this year. It's just, I've got my fingers crossed. Mm-hmm. It's we've been trying for this for a long time, and it's so important. And
in 1997? No, I'm sorry, 2007.
It's so important.
I'm a decade off.
That's okay.
A lost decade.
Lost time experience. It's got something to do with them aliens.
Well, they only took me twice.
That you remember.
Yeah.
They signed my logbook, so. So this is another news story from The Advocate, sort of along those lines of protections and how Connecticut does better than most states in the country. 3 transgender people in Illinois filed a class action lawsuit on Tuesday over the state's refusal to change their gender on their birth certificates. Lauren Gray, Victor Williams, and Nicholas Guarino, all of whom were born in Illinois and have undergone medical surgery to conform their body to the genders with which they identify, which is the line that gets drawn for federal recognition.
Right.
In order to change your federal identification, you have to have surgery, gender reassignment surgery. According to their lawsuit, the Illinois Vital Records Act allows the gender on a birth certificate to be changed if a licensed medical doctor deems it necessary. These people all have, through their surgeons, through their gender reassignment surgeons, letters saying that it is medically necessary for them to change the gender on their birth certificate. However, around 2005, the Illinois State Registrar adopted a practice of only changing the gender on birth certificates if the person underwent genital surgery, which the lawsuit claims violates the language of the VRA. The interesting part here is they have all undergone that genital surgery. Oh, I'm sorry. No, these are... Victor and Nicholas are female to male.
Okay.
So they've undergone the double mastectomy and chest reconstruction. The genital surgery for female to male is a very different process and is, frankly, is highly optional because the results and the costs.
Yeah.
So they have letters said that it's medically necessary to change their gender on their birth certificates, and basically the state of Illinois, on one hand, is saying, well, if the doctor says it's medically necessary, we'll do it, but on the other hand says, well, you haven't had the space between your legs altered.
Right. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Fox News reports that Gray and Williams have been able to change the gender on most of their government-issued identification cards because the surgeon wrote the letter, and that's all that's required for the federal government. While Guarino has not been able to change it on anything because Guarino's in Texas, and Texas requires the gender in the driver's license and all other IDs to match whatever is on his birth certificate. And the birth certificate he can't get changed because Illinois is two-faced.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, the whole Texas thing we've sort of run into before. We had some members
James
of our
and
group
Vanessa.
went through jumped through hoops because to get their stuff changed, and the Texas came into play with that. But so I've sort of heard that one before. But yeah, that's unfortunate. It's sort of like make up your mind.
And the interesting thing there is, and we've heard this from some of our opponents. In one breath, they'll rail against the federal government sticking their nose into the personal business of them by requiring them to have health insurance of some kind, and government's reach is too great, and government shouldn't have a say in my life. And then on the other hand go, but the government should be able to tell me that I can't marry someone of the same sex, and the government should be able to violate their own rules and deny my birth certificate change.
Right. They should be able to clearly be able to discriminate against me based on a birth defect. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. But excuse me.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. Lawsuits are good things, though.
Well, can be.
Because they
sometimes
sort of,
they're
they can,
frivolous, but
yeah, but they can sort of set precedents. So,
they can set precedents,
which is sort of, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and see what happens.
Well, and frankly, that's how most that's how most civil rights legislation happens.
Right.
In our own CHR ruling in here in Connecticut was because of somebody that filed a complaint against their employer.
Yeah.
A lot of times, we have whistleblower protection laws because companies don't frequently step up and voluntarily do the right thing when it gets pointed out. Sometimes you have to blow the whistle on. Well, sometimes you have to blow the whistle on the government.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But
I'd be happy to.
To shift gears briefly from transgender issues to same-sex issues.
Okay.
The Rhode Island House Judiciary Committee will hold a hearing today on civil unions proposal introduced after legislative leaders declared that marriage equality lacked enough support to pass. So according to the Associated Press, the civil union legislation would extend all of the state rights and benefits given to married couples in Rhode Island. But at least some gay marriage supporters say they won't support any proposal setting up a two-tiered system.
Right. Separate, and that's exactly what was going through my mind. We've said it before. Separate is not equal. It's the same thing that we went through in the civil rights era of the 50s and 60s. Separate isn't equal.
And it's been said by federal district court judges before too, that if you're going to have these two classes of people, and in every substantive way they're identical, then you have no cause to differentiate those two classes.
Right.
They are one class of people. If they're the same in every substantive way, then they are the same, period.
Yep. You can't, and to make the sort of artificial distinction creates a subclass of citizen. We have to stop doing that at some point in this country. We have to stop it.
Yeah, it would be good.
Let's see, national and local marriage equality advocates criticized the decision to change course and settle for civil unions, which Governor Peter Shumlin of Vermont called a half step in a visit to the state in March to rally for marriage. So now the irony in all this, to pull in our B-roll, is that, well, why don't we run it and then we'll talk about it. So we've got just about a 1.5-minute clip. It's a new ad that's been put out that we'll show first, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay, cool.
For once in my life, I won't let sorrow hurt me, not like it's hurt me before. For once, I have something I know won't desert me. I'm not alone anymore. For once, I can say, this is mine, you can't take it. As long as I know I have love, I can make it. For once in my life, I have someone who needs me.
Welcome, everyone.
For once in my life, I have someone who needs me.
Very cool.
So that's, as you saw at the end, it's the Believe Out Loud effort. The Huffington Post reports that a progressive Christian group is rejecting that ad. On Mother's Day, a group called Intersections International launched a campaign to encourage churches to actively welcome gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender Christians to worship. As part of the effort, the group created a video that shows a young boy with two moms walking into church. Nervous, the moms and their son get unfriendly stares from those in the pews, but they are welcomed by the pastor, who says that everyone can come to his church. The video ends with a call to church leaders to believe out loud. The DC-based Sojourners Group, a Christian organization and magazine that identifies itself as progressive and social justice oriented, refused to run the ad when campaign organizers sought to purchase space for it on their website. So it wasn't even a voluntary thing. This group, Intersections International, was looking to purchase ad space on the Sojourner's website to run this ad, and Sojourners, who claims to be progressive and social justice oriented, refused to take money to sell them the ad slot.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
Sojourners, Reverend Robert Chase, director of Intersections International, criticized the move. According to the Huffington Post, after fielding calls from Chase, Sojourners posted a response Monday afternoon on its website. The organization, wrote spokesman Tim King, wants to engage first and foremost in dialogue on difficult issues, but does not accept ads on such issues. The Post showed Intersections International's video embedded for free to promote a positive dialogue among Christians who might disagree theologically. Sojourners' presidents echoed the point of dialogue in a website column Monday evening, saying that his group's members are not all of one mind on all of these issues. So I guess the upside to it is that, according to Sojourners, they want to engage first and foremost in dialogue on different issues.
Okay.
Well, another case, I suspect, of public pressure coming to bear, and in this case, maybe something a little more positive came out of it. But also just to highlight the fact that this Intersections International group is pushing this new campaign to calling church leaders to believe out loud. You know, it's something that we've said actually all along, even when Renee told the story that she had, that how can you, as a minister, as a Christian minister or a Christian priest, somebody who is supposed to be ministering to their flock, supposed to be spreading the word, supposed to be teaching the good works, how can you do that when you turn people away? Yeah. When you send them away, tell them you're not welcome here, how can you change their minds? How can you bring them in at all?
Yeah. Absolutely.
It just seemed counterproductive to the message they were putting out.
Right.
So I'm really pleased to see not only are they actually stepping up and telling the church leaders to, as they say in the campaign, believe out loud. Not be silent about it, but actually be vocal about your support for these people to be in your church.
Sure.
So that first and foremost you can minister to them. And secondly, the second point that they make is that they're an accepting, inclusive organization, and they don't really have a problem with the two moms being gay.
Yeah. And they shouldn't. And it's sort of, I like to point out that that I know we sort of talk sometimes about the church and how we've been shunned and labeled abominations and all that. But the truth of the matter is that at least in this part of the country and in Connecticut and in this area, the truth is that not all, but a lot of the churches, the religious organizations in this area are very welcoming and have been very accepting of us.
There's a good number that are very accepting of GLBT folks, and then there's another good number of churches that will welcome you into the church, even if they don't agree with the choices you've made,
right? Because
that's the venue they have for getting to you, for talking with you. So kudos to both groups.
And that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. Just don't turn me away.
Growing up, I used to like being in church. Just the atmosphere and the music and the architecture and the feeling you'd get, being with everybody around you. And then I started being Roman Catholic, started paying attention to some of the messages. And I didn't like the messages very much. But and to be clear, when you say we've talked a lot about the church, most of the complaints we've had have been with Christian Orthodoxy. Not all, but with the Orthodox groups, the Roman Catholics, the Greek Orthodox and stuff, who tend to be much harder line, much more personally attacking when they come after us.
Yeah.
But
it's certainly a good message, and it's it's just the way it should be.
So this Saturday we've got Transgender Day of Awareness in Stamford and the Alliance for Living fundraiser in Stonington.
Yep.
And on Sunday,
We've got the True K 5 Colors Run.
Yes, Manchester.
In Manchester.
And you can go to truecolors.org.
Our True Colors.
Ourtruecolors.org, right. And find that. And if you can't think of that, just put True Colors into Google and you'll find it, I'm sure.
Oh.
So,
Because we're running down on time, so.
yeah, and so by all means, check that out. That's Manchester.
I'm out of stuff.
You're out of stuff? Okay, so we do have time. Let's talk about my love life. I'm kidding. Yes, I know. They can't see that. The camera, we can't zoom in, so. But I love to do that.
You've gotten very good at the little wrist flick.
But yeah. So anyway, we will be back next week, and
we'll have more exciting news for you.
more exciting news. Yeah. You know what? Hopefully, I'm hoping. I really am sincerely hoping that by next week we will be able to report that HB 6599
passes the House.
Passes the House.
That would be a wonderful thing.
And certainly, we're looking at either today or tomorrow for it to come up for a vote. And we know fully well that we have the support to pass it. If it comes up for a vote, it will pass.
Yep. And we should try to get in touch with Reverend Pollock to come on the show, too.
Yes, we will do that.
He's a sweetheart.
Yes. I also want to I got to contact Carolyn Paterno and get her to come on the show as well. There are a lot of religious leaders that have been really good to us, and certainly we. I like to point that out because I know there has been religious persecution in the past, but the fact of the matter is that some of our biggest supporters are with religious institutions, and
it's called for in the Bible. The whole social justice, the whole, let God judge, let St. Peter judge. It's not for me or you to judge.
Exactly. So.
Which is a passage lost on many.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, we have to go.
Have a judgeless week.
Yeah. Anyway,
Judgmentless week.
So thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back next week. And bye-bye.